Alright. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Late Night Tips. Tonight we're going to look at the Electribe E2, the 4th generation Electribe, and we're going to focus on 4 things that I really hate about the device. So before we go on to all the fun hating and stuff, let's clarify one thing. This is a pretty solid device. This is not a bad instrument. I originally bought it to use with a live band that I was putting together at the time with a drummer, and it worked really great in that setting. I also took it out for a couple of trips, and it's a great portable device. You can check out this jam in here. So it's not a bad device. However, when I started to try and integrate the E2 into my setup in here, I found out there are 4 annoying limitations, and here they are. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first problem I have with the E2 is that it has no Midi through whatsoever. I couldn't find one. Maybe you found a way to do that. Let me know in the comments, but I couldn't find it. So in here I have a very nice setup, and I'm syncing the iPad and my favorite Samplr app from the Electribe. So the toms and the kick drums are going from the Electribe, and in here I have this weird sort of hang drum sequence. And as you can clearly see in here, it sees the Electribe and it syncs the tempo and the transport with the E2, which is very convenient over USB using a camera connection kit, so it's great. But if I want to change that to external Midi and I want to sequence that from the Octatrack, for example, you see, it's not sending anything through USB to the iPad. And I also checked with the Midi out, doesn't work. So I find this to be problematic because it could be working, it could be done in the software, no problem, and it will be very convenient to be able to use the Electribe to, for example, sync your iPad with the rest of the gear. That would be awesome, but you can't do that, and I find that a little problematic. Because of that, the Electribe is one of the last instruments in my instrument chain. Which brings us to problem number 2. Problem number 2 is the fact that it has all the channels are fixed. So we have 16 tracks in here, or parts as they're called, and each of them listens to a separate Midi channel out of the 16th channel. So part 1 listens on channel 1, part 2 listens on channel 2, part 3 on channel 3, and so on and so forth. So this is a little bit problematic because, as you know, I like using keyboards to control everything. So you need to have a keyboard with channel selection option. What I came up with is I ordered this custom-made USB host that listens on all channels and sends via Midi the channel that you select here on the selector. So that's a pretty quick way to achieve that, but I had to invest in that device for this to work. So that's not ideal. Another problem connected with this sort of fixed setup is that if I'm using my Octatrack to sequence the Moog on channel 10, the MS-20 on channel 1, and so forth, and it's at the end of the chain because it has no through, it's going to trigger those parts. So what I did instead is I actually filtered all the channels apart from channels 13, 14, 15, and 16 using the iConnect MIDI 4. So those 4 channels I sequenced from the Octatrack, and the rest I use the internal sequencer to sequence, which, you know, works pretty well. But again, it could have easily been done in the menu where you select which channel applies to which part, or maybe that it doesn't listen, that it filters automatically. So I find that to be a bit of a limitation that I don't like. Okay, the third problem that I find is limited envelopes. So let's say I have a a polyphonic sawtooth synthesizer in here. And let's say I want to have a milder attack. So I'm going to go activate my envelope generator. Yeah, here. Yeah. So attack works beautifully, but you can notice I have no sustain. So the only way for me to achieve sustain is to have a release. And it still fades away. And so that's a limitation. I would rather have a proper ADSR on this instead of that setup, because I think that it limits the applications of the Electribe as a synthesizer, honestly. And the final, fourth issue I'm having with the Electribe is a pretty big one for me, that it has no track-specific reverb or a way to send reverb to a specific track or part, as it's called in here. So if you look at the effects, you see there's a delay, but no reverb. So the only way to achieve reverb is by selecting this in here on Master Effects. And it can be either on or off. I find this to be a little bit problematic. I'd rather have a sort of send option so that I can have more control over a reverb, or most preferably specific reverb controls per track. That would make it much more versatile, in my opinion. Plus, it doesn't help that the reverb is not very good on this. Alright, so that's it. Those are 4 things that I hate about the Korg Electribe. If you disagree with me, make sure to leave a comment in the comment section below. And if you have any other questions about the possibilities or capabilities or limitations of the Electribe, also please let me know. Thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe for more tutorials, more jams, and more gear reviews in the future. Thank you for watching. Take care.